Can you imagine just chilling with some friends and out of nowhere you just get messed with for no reason?
Tell me more. What happened?
I was chilling with some friends because we didn't really want to stay in the house. Of course we were being safe, but me and my friends, we decided, let's hang out today. Let's go do something fun.
Hmm.
One of my friends suggested, let's go to this club. And we've already been there before, so I was already down. And the day was going great. I was having a whole lot of fun. Then just out of nowhere, these like dickheads just came out of nowhere. Just started bothering us. Just saying a whole lot of just ignorant, dumb stuff.
What went through your mind? Do you remember?
In those types of situations, I like to try and keep calm. I don't really want to just blow up, but they just kept going. We tried to ignore them. They just kept going and going.
Hmm.
Then one of them thought it was funny, especially during this dumbass pandemic, to go and spit on my friend. At that point, I had enough, so I got up, punched that man in his face.
Oh.
And one punch just started a whole Royal Rumble. I don't know who called, but the police, they were called, or they were strolling something. They just seen the commotion and came over. And I guess because I look the way I do, because I'm a black man, I'm the one that's doing wrong.
They singled you out?
Me and my other friend.
Hmm.
So next thing I know, I'm on the floor with a knee, heavy ass knee in my back. I was so scared. I didn't know what was gonna happen. So they picked me up off the ground and just throw me into the cop car. I guess they threw me with enough force to knock me out, because I don't remember going there or ending up in the police station, but I just woke up and I was in the holding cell. Whole bunch of crazy lunatics and just licks. Just
That must have been a brutal wake up. It's like, where am I? What's going on here?
But that wasn't even the scariest part. Scariest part was thinking, what's my uncle gonna do? What is he gonna think?
Hmm. So that was the scariest part.
I just didn't want to see him disappointed in me.
Hmm. I know you've been doing so much to build a relationship with your uncle. That's been so important. So this must have felt like, oh my.
I thought I fucked everything up.
And there you were just at the club chilling with your friends, and then basically you and your friends were assaulted. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you stood up.
But what was the most surprising thing is that when he actually got there, he wasn't angry at all. He was more concerned and scared. He wanted to make sure I was straight.
Hmm. What'd you think about that?
Wow, he actually cares.
It's a hard way to find out, but it sounds pretty important. He just wanted you to be okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's a lot to unpack and figure out here. I'm really glad to see you today. You've been through a lot. So the scariest part was not knowing whether your uncle was going to judge you.
I thought he was gonna give up on me. My parents did. Why wouldn't he, right?
Yeah, I wondered if that was in the back of your mind. I don't know that your parents gave up on you, but
They never tried. There was nothing to give up on, right?
there are some things they couldn't do, and some things that your father did that just were not right for you or your sisters. Really missing them.
Yeah, I wish I could see them. Do you know how hard it is just having sisters or just having siblings that I only get to talk to twice a week?
That sounds really hard. When you care as much as you do, that's why it's hard. It's hard not having a family when that's really what you want so much. I mean, you've told me how important family is.
That's all I got.
Well, you've got something really important here that I didn't know. I'm not surprised because as I'm getting to know you and you're getting to know me, we're learning things about each other, but I didn't know for sure how much courage you have. I know what a big heart you have, how much you care about your sisters, how much you care about your uncle too, even though you kind of try to keep a little bit of distance just in case he might let you down. I knew you had a big heart, James. Now I know how much courage you have too.
It's not courage, it's just dealing with life.
Yeah, well, you know, when that guy spit on your friend, I know it's an awful moment, and I don't mean to be dredging it up, but something changed, and you stood up at that moment. Now, we could debate whether it was right to punch him or not, but what I hear is you stood up for yourself, for your friends. Maybe there are other ways to stand up, but at that moment, that's what you found.
I know you're saying that there's ways to stand up. How the hell else am I gonna stand up for myself? Because clearly they weren't gonna listen to words. Oh, please go away. You thought that was gonna work? I took it into my own hands. I was just tired of everybody thinking that, like, just because they're older or bigger, that shit means that they could just go and just put their hands or do anything, whatever they feel like to anyone. Like, no, that's not cool, bro.
Like those guys, and then like the police both, thinking that they can just put you on the ground, put their knee on your back, throw you in the car, call you names. Oh, I hear you. That are you asking me whether I think that you were wrong the way you stood up for yourself and your friends, or whether I think that there's a better way? And if that's the
What the
question,
hell else could I have done?
I don't know. You know what? I'm not thinking there was a better way. That might have been the absolute best way. But what I see, James, is I'm seeing that it's not me who's not sure about that and who's judging. I think it's you. You're asking me a good question, but I think the person who has to answer that question is you. Maybe there wasn't a better way to stand up at that moment. But I also know that you're not somebody who believes in violence. Did it kind of scare you that you got physical so fast? Like something just kind of snapped?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that doesn't mean that you are in any way, shape, or form a violent person. tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going to make a guess that you're thinking about your father, and you're thinking about, are you different than him?
I just don't want to turn out like that asshole.
Well, you know, I don't think, I've never met him, but I don't think he's made the effort that you have to really understand what he believes in and what's right and what's wrong. And you've dedicated yourself to that. I see that with your sisters, I see that with your uncle, I see that with your friends. You know, sometimes when anger gets really strong, we do things that we wouldn't otherwise do. And then the mark of a man is not whether he lashes out one time, one moment, standing up for something that he believes in. The mark of a man is whether he asks himself, was that the right way, and are there other ways that I can do that? And maybe there wasn't a better way that time, James. But maybe there can be other ways, even when something like this happens in the future. That's the mark of a man, to consider that. That's why I said you have so much courage.
I don't have courage.
Say again?
I don't have courage.
Oh, really? What would be different if you did have courage?
I can actually talk to my uncle more.
Is there something that you'd like to tell him, but you're scared to tell him?
How do you tell a devout church-going man that you may or may not be gay? How do you do that without disappointing him? Without him changing how he sees you?
Well, what do you believe about being gay? Does that mean you're going against God or against what's right? Or does that mean that you're being true to who you are?
I don't know.
Well, that's a tough one, and I'm sorry. That's probably about 100 questions all packed into one. So let me back up on that. Do you believe that there's something wrong about being gay?
No.
You respect your friends, and are some of them gay as well? And I wonder, when you stood up to that mob who was coming and insulting and really harming you and your friends, when you stood up to them, I wonder if you were standing up for what it means to be respected for the choices that you make, because that's who you are.
No one should be judged on how they look or how they feel about someone.
Yeah. So do you think that you don't have courage because you haven't let your uncle in on this part of who you are?
I haven't really let anyone know about this part. I don't even fully know for myself.
Well, I'm wondering whether you've been waiting for the right time to talk with your uncle. Maybe you needed to know something about where he stands.
I honestly feel like I needed to know where I stand.
Where do you stand, James?
In a very confused space. Is there something wrong with me? It just feels like all this terrible shit just keeps happening to me. Am I the problem? Do I have to fix something with me? Like, what's wrong?
Well, that's a very courageous and a very important question. No, there's nothing wrong with you. You know how therapists are? We're not supposed to give an answer, but that's too important a question not to answer. You may not believe me, but I know there's nothing wrong with you. But what's happened is you've had to follow your heart and be very courageous through a lot of things. And this last night is just one big example, but we're talking about all the ways in which you've stood up for what you believe, protected people you care about, including your own mother as well as your sisters, as much as a young man or a boy can. So no, I don't see anything wrong with you. I see a lot right with you, but I see why you would wonder about that. Because stuff keeps happening. It's almost like you're being tested, and I don't claim to know how these things work. You know, I'm not a minister, I'm not a priest, but I do know that when somebody's tested the way that you are being and have been, it's a chance to find out for yourself who you are and what your character is. I know I'm a white guy, and I know I'm an old guy, and I know I'm a shrink. But I'm a mirror, somebody you can look at and see, I hope, through my eyes, see who you are. No assumptions.
All I see is a scared black kid. Scared and confused.
For one moment, just try this on for size. Look through my eyes. And I'm not complimenting you. I'm not giving you praise to try to make you feel better. I'm being entirely honest. Look through my eyes, and I see a young man who has a heart and courage and a lot of wisdom, and who has some things to figure out so that he can make the choices that he believes are right. That's what I see. Two different Jameses, huh? A scared and confused black boy on the one hand, and a young man who has courage, wisdom, and heart, and is sorting out big questions.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, maybe they're both you. But you've been shown too many times that one view. I know that's a lot to ask. So let's narrow it down to just one thing. I'm not saying you need to tell your uncle about who you are, your sexual identity. But I think it's something that you very much want to do. And I think it requires some careful thought and planning so that you can say what you really mean and know that you're standing up for yourself, not out of anger, but out of a strong sense of this is who I am. I'd be glad to help you.
I would appreciate that.
I think that would be a conversation that would take a very heavy load off your shoulders. But it's a scary one to think about. Well, the starting point is you've already told one old guy And I can't speak for your uncle, but what you told me showed you and shows me how much he cares about you. So yeah, he may have some issues to deal with, because if the church says one thing and his nephew is saying another, that may be a challenge for him. But maybe we can figure out a way to help him think that through and not make any judgments without having really decided what he believes. So, shall we continue that conversation?
Yeah.